Hi everyone, I'm here to talk about the Arazutan. Me and my husband just finished uploading, and the paperback edition is now available. And I hate trying to do these cameras. So basically, the Arazutan, to me, was probably one of the most intense workings I've ever done. It's 28 days, and it's a real commitment because you're making a pact, and you are becoming Luciferian. It's so in this ritual, the point of it is that once you start, you don't stop. So it's very important to continue. I thought maybe I would talk about, Luciferianism in general, because, I was one of these Golden Dawn girls, white lighter, developed quite a following on Facebook. Really just, and in my workings, I ended up in a descent into the underworld. And because of my Christian upbringing, and not that my family was really real religious, because they weren't. I mean, we went boating on Sunday. We didn't go to church, but I went to church a lot with my friends, more than my family. And I've had a lot of friends that have just totally blocked me out of Facebook because of the changes that happened in my life. I mean, especially when I declared myself, a Satanist. And, but I was very I didn't have the knowledge to even understand what Satanism is. I believed that it was these evil ruling elite, these sex orgies, all these things. And I'm sure you can find some Satanist groups that do all of that. That's just not where my path lies. And that's not really what it's about. To me, what it's about is we're both light and dark. And in that light and darkness, we have to embrace both, because we have both inside of us. And so when we embrace that, then we can actually begin to make changes on that other aspect. I mean, I spent all these years working Kabbalah, and all these years doing the LBRP and the middle pillar, and all these things, and every day, I mean, a few decades. And what I can say is that I was very stuck in my path, and I wasn't going anywhere, and I was casting for things, and I wasn't getting them. I mean, I got some, there were certain gods I worked with, old gods, Sumerian gods. And to me, that's what these gods in the Arazutan are. They're Sumerian, old, ancient gods. We refer to them as daemons, but that's not, to me, the same thing as a demon. And what they, I've worked Goetia. I wouldn't touch Goetia for anything in the world. I don't, I've had some real wake-up calls with Goetia in the past, and I would just, it's just not, I don't work it anymore. So for some reason, a lot of newbies like to gravitate towards Goetia, and this is not Goetia, but this is, in essence, it's basically the tree of life paralleled to the tree of death. So it's making you look at your shadow self. It's making you go into your subconscious. It's pulling out those hidden things about yourself that that you're not aware of, that are blocking you. blocking you from having a life worth living, because that is the whole point of Luciferianism. You know, you talk about selfish or self-centered or whatever, but you know, that in reality is just about not being a slave anymore. It's not about not caring whether we hurt someone else, because we do. It's not about you know, just acting recklessly or whatever without care, because in everything about it, it teaches honor. It teaches love. And, you know, it's about, you know, having, being more honorable than I've ever been. I mean, so, you know, when I first met my husband, he was, you know, he wouldn't talk that he was Luciferian, or he wasn't, real upfront with that, but there were things that he would say that I was like, he's Luciferian, you know, and I knew that, but I knew that a lot of what he believed was a lot of the same of what I believe, and with that, we built on, you know, and still building on our marriage, and so, you know, I would listen to him. And I never met anybody with so much knowledge magically in all my life. I had put things together myself, and a lot of times my magical workings were from a gut intuition. I have a lot of things that I feel like I was born back into this world with as gifts that, you know, a lot of people probably don't have. I think my husband said, no, we're not going to just assume that they can do what you did in that ritual. And he says, we're going to spell this out for them. And we did. And, you know, I didn't read the paperwork. I didn't know anything about the paperwork. I had the symbol and the name of the god, and I went to the god each day. And then when we would get to a day that there was a specific thing I was supposed to do that was in addition to the nightly rite, my husband would hand me the paperwork for it, but I think he wanted to see me channel the daemons as well. And so for me, I basically took the daemons in and I basically channeled them. You know, not everybody's gonna be able to do that. I mean, my husband said his working was more calling to them, a meditation to them, and listening to them, and then, which I also had as well, the next day situations would start to happen and arise, things to make me look at myself, you know. So in this working, basically I was challenged. I was challenged about the things that I needed to improve in myself to become a better person. So, you know, I can say that this is not what I thought Luciferianism was. Or, honestly, I really say Satanism, because it's, there's so many definitions of Luciferian out there, and to me it's Satanism. Not because I believe he is the adversary, but he's the adversary for overcoming the things in life that are keeping us a slave. You know, we're not meant to be slaves. We're meant to have a life worth living. And, you know, so for me, I channeled them. I did it. I went blindly at it. I just, finally, you know, I was sick. And I had finally met my twin flame, and I was here in, moved 7 states from Indianapolis to New Hampshire. It's this absolutely gorgeous mountain town, population 9,000, and here it was. The next thing you know, I have two heart attacks. The first one I was life flighted out, and the second one, they ambulanced me over, both to Catholic Medical, and I had 2 major heart surgeries, and everybody was casting for me. And I was calling to archangels. I mean, this wall behind me used to be covered in sigils of archangels. And all of a sudden I was mad. I was so angry because after all the prayers and all the make me more like Yahweh and all of these things, I couldn't heal myself this time. And I had healed myself before. And this time I wasn't healing. And I'm like, finally am where I want to be, and I'm in a life with respect and real love. And I got angry, and I said, I am calling to the wrong gods. There's something wrong with what I'm doing, because it's not. And so when they diagnosed me about a month after my second heart surgery with heart failure, I said no more. And I actually renounced the archangels. And there's probably a video on me of my Facebook page, and there were people going, what the hell? And my husband was videotaping me because I was washing the wall and all the sigils of the archangels. And I said, I don't need you anymore. And, and all of a sudden I'm calling on the darker forces. And it took anger to overcome my fear to be able to move in this direction. I'm not taking diuretics anymore, and I'm okay. That's what's really surprising, is that I'm walking around, hiking around, kayaking my stepdaughter around the lake, and many wonderful things, swimming in the middle of the mountains at the lake. And so all of this was this all came with a renunciation. So I finally had the courage to actually work the left-hand path. I missed the World Convention in Indianapolis for the left-hand path because I was terrified of the left-hand path. I had no idea how much I was going to gain from it. And what I know now, there were moments in a 28 ordeal that weren't always pleasant. I can remember a night that I cried for 3 hours because the visions were hitting me in my third eye so much about what it was in me that I needed to change. And to look at those hidden aspects of yourself and say, oh my gosh, it was very overwhelming. I'm not going to say that it was always the funnest working. I will say that it is one of the most rewarding. I would say me and my husband fought quite a bit during that 28 days. Because they made me address, the things in myself that I needed to change to be a better wife, to be more loving, to not need to be a victim anymore, to take responsibility, to stand up and say, I want a life worth living, and to realize that if I want that, then I have to make the changes. Magic is, like Harry Potter and not like Harry Potter. In essence, if we want something, then we have to put the work in to get it, and we have to make those changes necessary in ourselves to do so. But I had no clue when I met my husband that alchemy was truly the psychology of myself. You know, I thought I was supposed to produce some kind of silver or gold on the altar table. Well, no. The real gold and the real wealth is within each of us. And when we realize that, and we wake up to these things within ourselves that we weren't able to see before, then we can truly grow and have the real wealth. You know, it's not anything to be afraid of. You know, I will say that it is a fantastic book. You get in there and you dig in and you work it, and you make the time for it. I believed in it so much, and my closeness to Babylon now, and my closeness to the different gods, and my understanding of that side, it's amazing. I had to be in on getting this book published. It was just, it was so important that this knowledge get out there to the people, and the people stop being afraid. You know, it's amazing how many people shut down or stop following you because they realize you've chosen to go in this direction. You would have told me this 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, and I would have said, oh, hell no, I wouldn't go near the left-hand path. I wouldn't go near the clippeth, you know, the tree of death. All I can say is as above, so below. And, you know, it is real. It is. I am Satan. I am Lucifer. I am God. And when you realize that, when you realize you are the God of your own world, and you can manifest your true will, you can live in synchronicity. But you can't do that if you don't embrace all of yourself, every part of you. You know, and even though it's the shadow side, or what they call the negative side, the bad side, for lack of a word, there is a way to operate in that negative side and move it into where it is a positive, productive nature in your life. And when you go in, ask them to show you what you need to know. You know, I've always heard so many people say, you know, well, you don't have an agenda. And I said, no, I never have an agenda necessarily when I go into ritual. I go in asking, what is it that I need to know today? Show me how to become the best possible person I can be. Show me what I need to correct in me. You know, I'm going to run out of time here in just a second, so I'm going to have to cut it off. But, you know, I hope this helps you realize that the left-hand path is not a bad path. It's not evil. Satan is not what you think. And maybe check out our book, The Arazutan, The Ordeal of Sheep. And blessed be everyone.